RHOP Karen Huger shocked watching her DUI bodycam footage. Former RHOP star Karen Huger was just sentenced for her DUI arrest, but she did have to watch the bodycam footage at some point. When she finally did see the behavior she exuded, Huger was shocked at what transpired. So what exactly did she say and when was it shown to her? Keep reading for more details. Karen Huger shocked watching her DUI bodycam footage. Although Karen Huger was arrested in March 2024, she just had her sentencing for her DUI arrest. When she was arrested, she asked the officers if they knew who she was. They did not, and then she continued on with her Grande Dame speech and other additions regarding Thomas Jefferson. At the time, she claimed she had one beer before leaving a friend's home. Yet, more alcohol was discovered in the car, and this was not her first offense. That was something the judge took into account when sentencing her. She received 2 years in prison with 1 year suspended and cannot drive for a year after her release. Additionally, she announced that she was exiting the RHOP and would not return next season. This came before her sentence was handed down, but it seemed she did not want to be held accountable. Possibly she knew that she would be incarcerated, so she wanted to decide for herself. Either way, she did not appear at the Season 9 reunion as she claimed she was seeking help. However, Andy Cohen promised she would be there in some capacity. As promised, during the Sunday, March 2nd airing of the reunion, Karen Huger and her husband, Ray, were shown. According to Page 6, they were speaking about her arrest as she had just been found guilty. She admitted she had yet to see the disturbing bodycam footage from the night of her arrest before her trial. More so, she did not want to see it, but when she did, she was shocked by her behavior. Despite Karen Huger knowing what the footage held, seeing it happen before her eyes was a huge wake-up call. She admitted that this was all her fault and she had no one to blame but herself. Regardless of whether she took accountability or not, she still drove under the influence and caused a wreck. Karen stated she was headed to rehab to deal with this, but she stayed less than a month at a wellness facility. While in front of the judge, she had this to say. After RHOP fans saw this small segment, what were their thoughts? Let's stop with trying to force sympathy for a habitual drunk driver for spent 2 days in rehab. She's clearly lying and trying to do damage control. This is her 4th DUI. I don't drink and drive but have had 4 DUIs. Some also felt it was awkwardly staged, but Karen has seen the footage. She seems to know she did wrong, and now will face her punishment. Karen Huger, the self-proclaimed Grande Dame of the Real Housewives of Potomac, has faced her fair share of drama over the years, from fiery feuds with Gizelle Bryant to unforgettable shade wars at dinner parties. But nothing could have prepared her for the latest scandal to shake her throne. In a moment that left RHOP fans in disbelief, Karen was caught on bodycam footage during a DUI stop, and when the footage was finally released, she was just as stunned as everyone else. The normally composed and poised reality star, known for her regal presence and quick wit, was left speechless as she relived the chaotic encounter. A shocking night unfolds. Karen's night started off like any other, glamorous, full of laughter, and with a few cocktails in hand. Attending an upscale event in D.C., she was seen mingling with elite guests, flashing her signature smile, and delivering her classic one-liners. But as the night wore on, things took a turn. According to reports, Karen was pulled over in the early hours of the morning after an officer observed her luxury car swerving on the road. While she initially dismissed the incident as a simple misunderstanding, the bodycam footage told a different story. As the video begins, Karen can be seen behind the wheel, her perfectly coiffed hair slightly out of place. The flashing blue lights from the police cruiser reflect off her sequined gown, creating an eerie glow around her. When the officer approaches, she puts on her most charming smile, but the situation quickly escalates. "Ma'am, do you know why I pulled you over?" the officer asks. Karen, in true Grande Dame fashion, waves her hand dismissively. "Officer, darling, I appreciate your service, but I assure you, I'm fine. I was merely trying to get home to my palace in Potomac." The officer isn't amused. "I noticed you were swerving. Have you had anything to drink tonight?" Karen pauses, seemingly calculating her response. "A sip of champagne, officer. Just a sip. And perhaps a splash of Grand Marnier, purely for the palate." The officer then asks her to step out of the vehicle, And that's when things get messy. A sobriety test gone wrong. Fans were left clutching their pearls as they watched Karen attempt to perform a field sobriety test. The footage shows her stumbling slightly as she tries to walk a straight line, her designer heels clearly not helping the situation. At one point, she turns to the officer and asks, "Can I at least do this on a red carpet? I do much better with a proper entrance." The officer remains professional, instructing her to continue. However, when it comes time for her to recite the alphabet backward, Karen throws her hands up. "Darling, I don't even recite it forward on command. I have people for that." As the situation worsens, she attempts to use her RHOP fame to her advantage. "You know, I could make one phone call, and this entire situation could go away. Would you like to meet Andy Cohen?" The officer shakes his head, unimpressed. "Ma'am, I just need you to focus." Karen reacts to the footage. When Karen was presented with the Bodycam footage, she was visibly shaken. Sitting in a confessional-style interview, she clasped her hands together, exhaling deeply. "I'm watching this, and I don't even recognize that woman," she admits, her voice softer than usual. "That is not the Karen Huger that I know, and it's certainly not the Karen Huger that my fans adore." Despite her initial embarrassment, she soon shifts into damage control mode. "Listen, we all make mistakes, and unlike some people on this show, I am willing to own mine." She goes on to acknowledge the severity of the situation. "Drinking and driving is never acceptable, and I want to take full responsibility for my actions. But let's be clear, I was not fall-down drunk. I was merely slightly impaired. There's a difference." The Housewives react. Of course, her RHOP co-stars had plenty to say about the scandal. Gizelle Bryant wasted no time throwing shade. "Chile, Karen tried to charm her way out of a DUI. That officer wasn't having it. She thought she was on Real Housewives of Potomac, but she was on Cops." Ashley Darby, always one for messy commentary, chimed in. "It's giving too much fun at the club, not enough Uber rides. I hope Karen learns from this, because the Grande Dame can't be out here in a police report." Candiace Dillard Bassett, ever the performer, took things a step further by parodying the footage in an Instagram Live, dramatically reenacting Karen's failed sobriety test while holding a glass of wine. "And this is why you don't drink and drive, folks. Call an Uber. Call Jesus. Just don't call a cop." Even Mia Thornton, usually one to stay neutral, couldn't help but throw in a jab. "Karen tried to finesse that cop like she finesses her way out of drama every season. Didn't work, sis." However, Karen's close friend and RHOP alum Charis Jackson Jordan came to her defense. "Karen's going through a rough time, and instead of tearing her down, we should be uplifting her. We all make mistakes." What's next for Karen? In the aftermath of the scandal, Karen is reportedly taking a break from the party scene and focusing on self-reflection. "I'm using this as a moment to grow," she shared. "And to all my fans, don't worry. The Grande Dame is still standing, just with a little more wisdom this time." As for whether this incident will play out on the upcoming season of RHOP, sources say cameras were rolling, and Bravo is fully prepared to make it a major storyline. One thing's for sure, Karen Huger has faced many challenges, but this may be her toughest PR crisis yet. The Grande Dame will need more than a witty clapback to escape this one unscathed.